Jeremy Elliott used to be like most of us. He was just a boy trying to finish high school. He became friends with my brother, and my brother, he likes to talk about stuff he doesn't know much about. He came down here, had this expectation of picking a bunch of mushrooms in a field north of Chapel. And he went out there with a trash bag. He was going to collect a bunch of them, and he sold them to some folks in Sydney. Well, he and Jeremy were the ones out picking these mushrooms. Jeremy ate them mushrooms, and he never came back from the trip. That's when I met Jeremy. When I met Jeremy, the Jeremy that everybody knew was already gone. The Jeremy that used to spend hours and hours and hours working on his bikes or helping out others by working on theirs. I mean, that was his passion, working on people's bicycles. He went from being a highly intelligent human being to thinking people were telling him to do stuff. I'm never ever going to have to go through that. I'm lucky for that. I have to go through the treatment, though. Not treatment as in, a 12-step program, but how somebody is treated when they are that different. But Jeremy's also, as long as I've known him, he's been a good man, despite the fact that he's mentally ill. He got to deal with alcoholics in his family, too, like his mom. See, Jeremy was able to get into low-income housing here in Chapel. And his mom moved in with him and made his life. She was always drinking, always ordering him around, always talking trash about him like he wasn't a human being. Holy hell, woman, this is your son. You know when the last time I saw Jeremy was? I was in Chapel. This is 2018. Jeremy's been schizophrenic for fucking 20 years now. And he wants me to come visit him. He's always bugging me to come visit him. And I love going to see him. Me and Jeremy, we have a lot of fun. But when I go up there to see him, I don't get to visit with him. His mom is constantly demanding of any male attention in the household or any attention whatsoever. And it's not her place, it's Jeremy's. His mom moves in, and then she wants to pretend like she's taking care of him, and Jeremy couldn't possibly ever exist without her. But she's constantly fucking drunk, constantly telling him to do this and do that. Jeremy, go grab me this. Jeremy, go grab me that. She's talking about how she's taking care of him. This dude is schizophrenic. And he is literally taking care of his alcoholic mother. He is schizophrenic. He is a mild-mannered person. But his mother is fucking mean. Last time I saw him, his mother said, Sean, Jeremy likes you and he wants you to stay for the night. But I'm going to let you know, I have guns. If you try anything, like, shut the fuck up, Lori. I'm not here to fucking start trouble. I'm here because your son asked me to come see him. And every time that I went to see him, she was always the same, drunk off her fucking ass. Now Jeremy's in fucking Scotts Bluff in a fucking home. Why? Because he stood up to his fucking mom. Who the fuck wouldn't? Oh yeah, Brenda Dickinson wouldn't. Brenda Dickinson knew about this for years and said nothing. That's not entirely true, is it? No, it's not. She told me. She would sit down with me and talk to me for hours about Lori and how she treats her son. Like, fuck. See, that's the problem. People, rather than do something about it, they want to talk about it. They want to bitch at somebody else about it who can't do anything about it or who isn't fucking going to. So what did Jeremy get out of helping his mom? He got locked up in a cage like an animal. His mom drives around Chapel, Nebraska, drunk as a fucking skunk every day. Drunk off her ass. She should not be allowed in a vehicle. She is that bad of an alcoholic. But you can't say that or you're a bad person, right? You can't say, hey, Lori is drunk as a skunk. She's driving around. It's Wednesday. It's noon. And the kids are all walking to Hanson's Texaco so they can get their fucking lunch. What are the chances of Lori's drunk ass running somebody over? They're a lot greater than her chances of running somebody over when she's sober. But this is how we train women to be, even towards family. Jeremy, out of the kindness of his heart, allowed his mother to come into his house. Out of the kindness of his heart, he was there for her every beck and call. Jeremy, go grab the laundry. Jeremy, go wash the dishes. Jeremy, vacuum the floor. Jeremy, go get my alcohol out of the car. Jeremy, go get my alcohol out of the freezer. And then she'd be verbally abusive to him. Who is it that deserves to be locked up in a fucking home? It's not Jeremy. And yes, I get that he's schizophrenic. But just because he is schizophrenic doesn't mean that he is wrong. Jeremy was not the bad guy in this scenario. His fucking mom was. What did Jeremy get for being a decent fucking person towards his family? He got fucked. His mom lives in his place. His mom has his stuff. What are the chances that she sold his stuff to pay for more booze? Probably pretty fucking good, seeing as she doesn't have a job. Her income is her disability, just like mine. And she is always drunk. There's one guy down here, he spends at least $50 every night at the bar. And it's not always the same bar. Sometimes it's the bar here, sometimes it's the one in Julesburg. But he's always complaining about how he's always broke because of blacks and Mexicans. Blacks and Mexicans are taking all the work. Blacks and Mexicans don't have to pay taxes, so they're the only ones getting hired, and so on and so forth out of this dude's face. He's broke because black people exist and because Mexican people exist. And of course, homeless people. You know, he's got to blame them too. And when it comes down to it, let's figure out how much money he's spending per month. Let's say there is an average of 30 days, and he is spending $50 a day. I guess an easier way to do this would be break it down into tens, groups of 10 days. In a 10-day period, he is spending $50 a day. That's $500. $500 for a third of a month. That means that man is spending $1,500 a month on alcohol. That is over twice what I get a month in disability. Over twice what I get in disability per month. This man is spending on booze and talking about how it's people like me who are the reason that he's always broke. Could it have something to do with your alcohol intake? There's another man here in town. He's a plumber. He has been drunk as a fucking skunk for as long as I've known him. I get his son recorded saying, Sean, I don't think you've ever talked to my dad when he's been sober. He's probably right. The cops never pull his dad over, though. Why is that? Because he's the plumber. He's the guy that if you got to make a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning because your toilet is overflowing and you had diarrhea and it's all over your floor, this is the dude who's going to show up. This is the dude that you call. Otherwise, you got to call to Sydney and make an appointment. Or you got to hope that the Jepsons can make some time with their schedule. And the Jepsons are good fucking workers. I mean, they spend all their time fucking working. They have to. It's a family business. They work together as a family. They have family. They have issues as a family. But at the end of the day, they are still a fucking family. A lot of these people with families, their families will do fucked up shit to cover up for the crimes of their relatives. I won't. My biggest issue with Jeremy is that he's not here. His mom, she pulls over. She's drunk. She pulls over in the middle of the fucking road to talk to me. At first, she always starts off the same way. She starts off pretending like she gives a shit about me. And usually within about 30 to 45 seconds, it occurs to me she wants me to get into the vehicle so that she can drive around drunk for 45 minutes trying to remember what the fuck it is that she was doing and then have me do all the actual doing part of it. I'm like, Lori, I'm lucky I'm not using a walker right now. I don't know what the fuck you were expecting out of me or why you're expecting it. Jeremy doesn't deserve where he's at. And I don't mean he doesn't deserve it as in he's a bad person and he doesn't deserve such a nice place. What I mean is that he doesn't deserve to be in the system. He deserves to be out here in Chapel, Nebraska with those of us who actually love him. His grandma loves him very much. I love him very much. He doesn't belong in a fucking institution. He is not a violent schizophrenic. Now, that's not to say that you can't push him to violence. It is very difficult, though. Jeremy Elliott isn't somebody who's just going to flip out for no goddamn reason. Maybe it's because he needs his med checked. Maybe it's because his mom's a bitch. Now let's talk about how terrible a person Gary Jepson is, because he's an alcoholic. Oh, wait, I can't do that. Why is that? Well, for starters, Gary Jepson is not a terrible person. He's also not an alcoholic. I don't hold Gary responsible for anybody in his family who did something wrong to me. How could that possibly be Gary's fault anyway? Gary does not make every single decision for every single person in the family. Things would probably be a lot better if he did. But a lot of people that have done me wrong have tried to use their families as an excuse why it's okay for them to do wrong. Like Cammie Jepsen, after the fucked up shit that she did, she felt that I owed her to take that abuse, and she used her dad as her excuse. Like, yeah, Sean, you owe it to me because my dad. No, hold on a second, Cammie. Your dad did good shit for me. Your dad taught me how to do things that I didn't know how to do. He didn't tell me how to do them. He didn't yell at me to go do it and then expect it just to get done without me having the knowledge. No, he taught me how to do these things. Gary, when we're on a job site, Gary doesn't just get all drunk and start screaming. He doesn't go to work drunk. Unlike most of these people, Gary does not show up to work drunk. You know how many times I have ever showed up for work drunk? It's never fucking happened. The one time I showed up for work with a fucking hangover, I was really hoping I'd get the day off. But instead, I got handed a rake and told to stay away from everybody and rake. Yeah, that was my punishment for being a dumbass the night before. Having to use that fucking rake with a hangover, fucking hot ass day. Was that Gary trying to be an evil person? Was that Gary trying to be vindictive? No. That was Gary understanding that if you got a hangover, you're not necessarily aware of your surroundings. And if you're tree cutting, yeah, you might get killed because you got a fucking hangover. Stay the fuck away from the dropping shit. A stick 18 inches long by 2 inches wide dropped from 15 feet in the air. If it hits you in the arm right there, it'll break both of those arms or break both of those bones. That's 18 inches by 2 inches. That's not very fucking big. Now, when you consider some of the stuff that's dropping off of there is in excess of 20 feet by bigger than your fucking head, yeah, it's pretty dangerous. And I've had issues with 4 of Gary's relatives, 5 of them since all this happened. And sure, most of them are just related by marriage. But that doesn't make them less human beings, and it definitely doesn't make them any less of family to Gary. Just because you was adopted into the family doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. But the other thing is, Gary isn't punishing me over the issues with people in his family. The situation with Cammie, how I owe her because of her dad, because of her dad, because of her dad. No, Cammie, I don't owe you shit because of your dad. I owe your dad more than I can ever repay. The education that I got from that man is fucking phenomenal. The tools that I've gotten over the years and the help that I've gotten over the years, I mean, that's a lot more help than I ever got from my own family. But you see Gary out there, he's not taking advantage of his family. He's trying to make sure that they're set up for when he's gone. He's trying to make sure that they make it when he's gone. But we basically skipped an entire generation. See, Jason's got his own way of living. He's the youngest out of Gary's boys, or out of all of Gary's kids. He's got his own thing going on. Dana, he he's the best finisher out of all of them. I mean, if he's cutting in them trees, he's going to drop it faster than Rory would. But also, Rory could drop that whole tree and get it in 18-inch chunks, do it without killing anybody. Dana's good at just about every part of finishing. He can finish cement, he can finish trim, he can finish your drywall, he can do all of it. But he doesn't live here anymore either. He decided he wanted to be an educator. Good on him. At least he's an educator who's got some experience. So Jason and Dana, they're not going to be taking over the business. Rory, he died. He's not going to be taking over the business. Cammy's pretty well content to be drunk and talk shit about everybody in town from her high and mighty position at the bar. She's not in any kind of mental condition to be doing anything of that nature. And all these things that I bitched about, how many of these things are Gary's fault? None. None of these things are Gary's fault. That's the difference between Gary and Lori. Gary looks out for his family. Lori takes advantage of them. But then again, Lori's not a Jepson. She's not a tree cutter. And obviously, she's not much of a fucking mom. I mean, shit. You know what I'd like to do if I had my own place, I'd go talk to Diane Heidemann, and then I would go talk to Jeremy's grandma. And I'm sure between the three of us, we could find a way to get Jeremy home where he belongs. Then again, I don't have my own place. Then you got all the stipulations that you got to go along with in order to get your government help. And these stipulations make it impossible to take care of yourself. Oh, someone from a restricted number. Imagine that this early in the morning. God, I love these restricted phone number calls. So a lot of people, they want to tell me about all their problems and tell me how they feel and so on and so forth. You know, for months, there's a lady in town. For months, I tried to explain to her because she was always coming over here drunk and being a pain in the ass. And for months, I was trying to explain to her how her getting drunk and acting the way that she was affecting me. And it was affecting the guy who owns the home. You know, it does affect us. Me less than him because he's got kids with her. But that's not the point here. The point here is that in the 5 times that she has spoken with me since that whole scenario, I always listen to her. Always. She said that she'd make time to listen to me, and she hasn't. The thing is that her choices and her alcoholism affected me greatly. And she doesn't want to hear it. Addicts rarely do. Doesn't matter if they're addicted to meth or heroin or alcohol. They don't want to hear how them doing fucked up shit because of their addictions, they don't want to hear how it affected you. They expect you to just drop it off. Oh, well, I'm sober now. Yes, but I still have the repercussions of the things that you were doing while you were drunk. These things still affect me. And you can't even take the time to hear how I feel about it or even why. You don't want to bother with taking the time. You shouldn't have to take the time to listen to the people who are fucked over because of your bad decisions because you're sober now. Ah, well, that's kind of like the situation up there in Montana with Lana and Amanda Engeline. Lana Engeline would watch Game of Thrones 7 hours a fucking day. 7 hours of watching Game of Thrones every day. 7 hours of carnage and murder and rape and incest and all sorts of fucked up shit that you guys are entertained by. While I was up there, I didn't have decent enough access to the internet to even complete watching one fucking YouTube video. But I still made the effort to make those videos. I didn't have any games on my computer until my last 2 days there. I didn't have any games on my computer that I could actually play. Now, Amanda, in order to try to justify the evil shit that her and her fucking mom did, tried pretending like I didn't do nothing but play video games the whole time I was there, and I didn't shower the whole time I was there. Basically, any goddamn excuse that made it okay that they did such fucked up shit. But also, there's the fact that I was used to them doing fucked up shit to me. That's why when I was in Virginia in 2016, I dropped all of them like a bad fucking habit. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of racism. And I sure as hell am not going to tolerate being bullied fucking 6 or 7 people on one. Yes, I get that you're friends. But if your friend is a fucking racist, your friend is a racist. If your son is a racist, then your son is a racist. And it all comes back to Jeremy now. Why is that? Jeremy's different, but he's not bad. He is mentally ill, but he's not evil. His mother victimized him repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And who is it that got the consequences? Jeremy did. His mom's an alcoholic, a raging fucking alcoholic, who is abusive, but it's fine because Jeremy's mentally ill. Now, where are we hearing this story before? Ah, yes, that is right. All of these fucking alcoholics and meth heads that I had to go to for help because the cops will not do their fucking job unless someone goes in with you. These people are abusive, and when they're abusive, I'm the bad guy for saying something. I'm a terrible person for saying how Brett Roloff, being fucked up on meth and searching through his feces for a bag that he swallowed the night before, those were not my decisions. I didn't decide for Brett to do those things. I was there because I needed help. But how is he going to help me if he can't sober up long enough to even talk to the cops? And you know, he still didn't throw me away after that. A lot of these people, I'm kind of hoping it scared them straight. I'm hoping that after the bullshit that I had to go through at the hands of Shannon Alvarado being a goddamn alcoholic, maybe she might step back from her selfish alcoholism and reflect on how her alcoholism affects everybody else in the household. Of course, here in Chapel, Nebraska, between Sean walking down the street because he's got to get somewhere and Lori the alcoholic trying to run kids over, who are the cops going to stop and talk to? Who are the cops going to harass? Are they going to harass that alcoholic woman cruising up and down Main Street? Are they going to go harass that alcoholic plumber who is drunk by 10 a.m.? Of course, every alcoholic says the same thing. Oh, I only had a couple of drinks. I only had a couple of drinks. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you had one drink, 100 drinks, or no fucking drinks. You don't get to treat a human being like that and then play fucking victim because they are pissed off about the goddamn abuse. That wasn't your place, Lori. It was Jeremy's. And you had no right to threaten my life with a firearm. If anything, if, fuck your ifs, Lori. If you would fucking sober up, your son would still be here instead of locked up in Scotts Bluff. If. Lori, I don't like you. And on 3 occasions since that night, I have gotten into the vehicle with you and run around to do all of your fucking errands with you. See, that's the thing. These people got no problems with bad-mouthing me or treating me like I might be a bad fucking person because of rumors. But then when they need fucking help, it's Sean. Sean, can you help me 3 days this week? All I need you to do is sit there in the vehicle for 3 days this week. Sean, can you do that? Yes, I can. But I got shit I got to get done. When I'm sitting in your vehicle for 3 days, when I tell you on Friday that I'm going to need a full week to get everything set up, you need to give me a full week to get everything set up. If you want me to sell stuff on eBay for you, I have to learn how, which means that I have to de-stress myself from stressful situations before I can even get started. If I'm stressed out because you're letting me know you need help tomorrow, and then you keep on reminding me every time I go over there, well, what about the eBay? What about the eBay? What about the eBay? Yes, I'm on it. But when you ask for my help, I show up. When you ask for the help that you need, because you know your situation better than I do. You are the one in that situation. You are the one who knows the details. When you ask for my help because you're going to cut a tree or build a fence or move a bunch of metal, you're asking for my help because you need help. Am I wrong? Well, I need help too, and it needs to be a give and take. If we make an agreement and you don't keep your end of the bargain, or you change your end of the bargain after I've fulfilled my end, it is difficult for me to trust you. Now, how many of these people are bad people? Not very many of them are actually bad people. For the most part, they're alcoholics. The ones that I talked about that aren't alcoholics, like Gary Jepson, yeah, he's never done me wrong. He also has a business to run, and he does have to worry about that business. And that sucks for me. But it's small town politics. Meanwhile, I am denied all of my rights because they call me mentally ill, and then they pretend that I didn't want my rights because I'm smart and never made an effort. No, I made all the effort that I possibly fucking could. But without someone going in with me in person who has taken some time, at least a little bit of time to find out what the fuck is going on. I mean, seriously, the people that did eventually go in with me, either A, they didn't fucking speak up, or B, they didn't know shit about the fucking situation. The people who should have gone in with me are the people who were involved in the situation. Brandon Ratner should have gone in with me, not procrastinated for 3 goddamn years. King of Nichols should have gone in with me. Kayla Trujillo should have gone in with me. Joanna Taylor Smith should have gone in with me. These were all people that I went to for help before Natalie was fucking killed. But then when they do fucked up shit, when they help my predators, and then they want to treat me like shit because I posted it up on the goddamn internet. With all due respect, if you'd have come forward in court, I wouldn't have to post it on the internet, you dumb bitch. Shannon, if you'd have helped me like you promised, instead of getting fucking drunk and treating people like shit every fucking night, you could have fucking helped me. Lori, if you cared as much about your son as you care about your fucking booze, I wouldn't have this fucking problem with you. You know how much it pisses me off just to fucking see you after what you did to your fucking son? And I swallow my fucking pride. And I help you with your fucking bullshit because you're too drunk to do it yourself. I can barely take care of myself. Matter of fact, I can't take care of myself. I can't take care of myself, and you are expecting me to help you. Not only that, you're expecting me to help you with things that I need help with. No, I don't want to get into a vehicle with you when you're drunk. At least Lori, when she parks, she's not getting out of the fucking house. When she's in the vehicle, she'll drive around for 5 hours because she doesn't want to get out of the vehicle. She will get in drunk as a fucking skunk, and she'll get out of the vehicle when she's sober enough to feel physical pain. She'll go home and she'll get fucking drunk some more. Whereas with Sandy, she doesn't give a fuck about anybody but Sandy. That's what happens when you're one of the pretty girls. You get these expectations. And then you get older. And you either get wrinkled or you get fat. But then when you're wrinkled or fat, you still have that same shitty ass goddamn attitude of thinking that everybody fucking owes you because you're pretty. You're not pretty anymore. That's not my fault. I didn't make you fat. I didn't make you old. I didn't make you wrinkled. And I sure as shit don't deserve to take the punishment because you're feeling it. You're feeling your age. You're feeling your weight. With Sandy, I mean, shit, she should have been fucking smarter. First of all, don't be running around fucking selling drugs to kids. You'd think that'd be a no fucking brainer. Why is she in trouble right now for selling drugs to kids? Why, it could have something to do with selling drugs to fucking kids. But Sandy, she's not a plumber. So she does get pulled over. All the cops know the local plumber is drunk at 10 a.m. All the cops already know this. They've known this since their fucking day one on the job. You leave that man alone. He's an essential worker. That was before they had essential workers. A lot of people did messed up stuff to me because they didn't want to make the time. They wanted to make all of these empty fucking promises. They thought, well, I'll just keep on making empty promises until it all blows over. Yeah, no, this shit doesn't blow over. It affects the rest of your fucking life. It affects your ability to make friends. It affects your ability to get into housing. It affects your ability to fucking take care of yourself. Meanwhile, all of my predators that I had to go to after Natalie died, all of the predators that I had to deal with that I knew in real life, I had to deal with those predators before she was fucking dead too. A lot of people say, hey, you should have just let it go. Hey, really? Let me tell you about when I let Miss Jerry go. Her son decided to make a racist post, and he and his friends decided to bully me and treat me completely like shit over them being racist. And Miss Jerry and that whole family, and Lana and Amanda and that whole family, I'm literally getting ganged up on by all of them. Miss Jerry blocked me, and I went, you know what? Fuck all these people. Seriously. I put up with a lot of years of Lana's bullshit just because Miss Jerry treated me good. When Miss Jerry did fucked up shit, she didn't care how it affected my life. Just like Chelsea Worsing didn't care how it affected my life. She only cared about herself. With Lana, all she cared about is the fact that she didn't get laid. With Chelsea Worsing, what's her major fucking malfunction? She's autistic, like me. It's difficult for her to make friends. Katie Whiteman is there, and she can see Katie Whiteman. I'm not there. I can't go hang out with Chelsea. Why? Because Chelsea didn't fucking come forward and tell the goddamn truth. Lucky for me, I recorded that on phones and I recorded it on screenshots. And even though those telephones, most of them are long fucking gone, a lot of the screenshots still exist. I am overwhelmed because no matter how hard I fucking work on this shit, it doesn't matter. I'm not allowed to defend myself. I am not allowed to go to the fucking cops if I need help. When you are called mentally ill, most of the time the cops don't even pretend that they're going to do their fucking job. That's why you need someone to go in with you. And all of these people who did fucked up shit to me, because they are pieces of shit, thought it was okay to try to put that on me, like it's my fault that they're pieces of shit. Now let's take this situation with Natalie, for example. Natalie had the same issue with texting that I did. People take it wrong, and instead of talking to you like a human being, you text back and forth between each other like assholes. So we promised each other if there was a misunderstanding in texting, we would talk to each other like grown-ass goddamn adults. But is that what happened? No. What happened is 4 years of fucking hell for being the goddamn good guy. When you're called mentally ill, your guilt is fucking assumed. There is no such thing as innocent. It must be your fault. Scott DaCosta, I don't want to fucking see him. If he choked to death, I'd be pissed. And that's not because he was dead. I'd be pissed because I want that son of a bitch in prison. If he dies, he gets away with it. And that's not acceptable. All of these cops that I have to talk to now are my predators. You cannot work for the sheriff in this town and not be a bad fucking cop. Leslie, she wanted to say, well, I never did anything wrong to you. Actually, Leslie, you have. You never did anything wrong to me before Natalie died, but since you got that position working with Scott Costa, you've done a lot of wrong things. And sure, it's because of your assumptions. But at the same time, between your assumptions and the evidence, I'd much rather have you look at the evidence. I don't think Leslie is a bad person. I do think she wants to keep her fucking job. And with the economy the way that it is this day and age, she needs to keep her fucking job. Now, Mike Jepson said it best when he said, it only takes one bad sheriff to make all them cops bad. Of course, if you guys, well, everybody in Chapel, Nebraska is familiar with the story of Jim Haith, covering up murders and, well, similar such shit. See, that's the reality of the world that I live in. Is that just because you don't want to believe it, just because you want to look away from the evidence, just because it doesn't fit your narrative, it makes it okay to harm me as if I am the fucking predator here. Now, how much predatory shit have I done? None. None of what I have done can be considered predatory because of all of the abuse that I have endured and because of all of the things that I have done to try to do it the legal way. When you tell me that I need to call the Department of Health and Human Services, I call the Department of Health and Human Services. When you tell me I got to call the cops in Broomfield, I call the cops in Broomfield. What you guys aren't getting is that all of these great and wonderful ideas that you have that you want to throw at me repeatedly are missing two things. Number one, my history of trying those things. You weren't there for any of that, but you want to tell me to do this as if I've never tried it before. I didn't get assaulted by police for not trying. I was assaulted by the police because they had done wrong, they fucking knew it, and they needed to capitalize on the title of mentally ill to get away with the crimes that they committed, just like Lori. And Lori, after throwing her son away like he was fucking trash, is showing that she's the one who is trash by continuing to get trashed and live in his fucking place. Why is Brenda Dickinson a shitty excuse for a human being? Because she should have turned in Lori years ago. She should have turned Lori in 2016. At least. That's when I came back to Chapel, Nebraska and found out about that scenario. Brenda was constantly asking me for help, but I got to try to get that work done before Dennis gets home. Because if Dennis gets home and I'm working on the house, she doesn't want to get bitched at. So who does Dennis bitch at? He bitches at me about being lazy and not doing anything and drinking all of his goddamn coffee. So all the money that I made for the day, slaving away for his fucking wife, goes to Dennis so that he'll shut the fuck up and stop bitching at me because I got to keep it a secret that I just spent the whole goddamn day working for his wife. She ain't a good Christian woman. A good Christian woman wouldn't have to keep that shit from her husband. And a good Christian woman sure as hell wouldn't let an innocent man be punished as if he were doing something wrong. She knew that the shit that her husband was bitching at me about was wrong. She knew that I didn't deserve it. She knew that I was taking that abuse so that she didn't fucking have to. Well, is Dennis the abuser in that situation? No. No, he's not. Brenda is the abusive one in that relationship at that point. Why? Because she's taking away from her husband. You know, it's one thing for a husband to go beat somebody up because that somebody is trying to harm his wife. I mean, that scenario I understand completely. It's another thing entirely for a husband to treat me like shit over his wife's decision. Now, don't get me wrong. It was my decision to respect her wishes and not tell her husband that I was there working on his goddamn house every day. But all these people took me for all I was worth. Every time, hey, Sean, if you do this, I'll help you. If you do this, I'll help you. If you do this, I'll help you. I jumped through your goddamn hoops. Where's my goddamn help? Oh, yeah, I forgot I'm not a human being because somebody called me mentally ill. I must be a predator because I was born with a penis. I must be ripping people off because I'm white. All right. I guess I'm done bitching for a little bit. The thing is, every single person who ever told me they loved me showed me that they don't. I showed Natalie that I loved her by driving 1,700 miles at her request because she was suicidal. I answered the phone when she called. I answered her text messages. I didn't ignore her, and I didn't treat her like all of the shit that she was going through like she fucking deserved it because she's a fucking meth addict. But you know what? Afterwards, when I couldn't see my family, when I was being abused, people were breaking my things and stealing my things and making every excuse. They always get away with it by calling me mentally ill. And that's why there are supposed to be laws in place to protect people like me from exactly this kind of victimization. But then you take a look at the conversations between myself and people like Scott Costa and his deputies, or Tara Smith. You realize that these people and the jobs that you guys think that they're supposed to be doing, these jobs that you think, when you tell me to call them, that they're going to do this. Well, I recorded those calls. They didn't do what you expected them to do, and you still treat me like shit for it. Like it's my fault that they won't do their goddamn jobs. It's not my fault you didn't go in with me. It's not my fault you lied. It's not my fault you didn't keep your word. And it's not my fault you're a fucking coward. There is no reason why Jeremy Elliott should be in an institution in Scottsbluff when he's got a grandma right here in town who loves him very much, and he's also got a friend right here in town who loves him very much. If I had to choose between Jeremy and alcohol, which one would I choose? I'd choose Jeremy. When I quit drinking, I had to make a choice between my loved ones and my alcohol. And unlike nearly everyone else I know, I was strong enough to quit the alcohol.